So we are about to begin the QB Power Hour webinar series. The QB Power Hour is a free bi-weekly webinar series for accounting professionals presented by Matthew Fulton and Dan DeLong, who are very passionate about the industry, QuickBooks, and apps that integrate with QuickBooks. You can find out all the details about the webinar series at qbpowerhour.com. So without further ado, here's Matthew and Dan. So welcome everybody to another QB Power Hour. Today, we are actually going to be talking about the state of desktop with Marjorie Adams from Fourlane, and talking about ways to extend the life of desktop in the QuickBooks ecosystem. My name is Dan DeLong, owner at Danwith and School of Bookkeeping. I worked at Intuit for about 18 years, doing the co-hosting here, also at Workshop Wednesdays at School of Bookkeeping. That's enough about me. Sharon, who are you? And how'd you get in here?
Oh, man, I'm tired, Dan, is what I am. We did Women Who Count conference, and then I had a book launch, kind of promote this book behind me. And then we did the Intuit Connect, and then I was sick for a week and then hung over for a couple days because of my Golden Night Gala, and now sick again because of that, but not ready to get back to work. I normally take a vacation every year, and I think I'm going to start doing it. No, we all do, but I normally go from like Thanksgiving to January 10th. I think I'm going to start doing it November and December because I think I'm honestly just done working for the year. The rest of the stuff about me you can read.
And Marjorie, bring yourself into the fold here. I don't have a slide for you. I should have built one, but can you explain who you are?
Yeah, I wanted to wait awkwardly behind the scenes because you said it's supposed to be an awkward entrance. So there you go. And I'm here. Yeah, I'm Marjorie Adams. I'm the CEO of Fourlane. We started as a conversion company, so mostly desktop. I know that there's a lot of QBO lovers in the room here. And we still continue to focus on the enterprise space. Our sweet spot is customers between 5 million to 100 million in revenue. And we just help them get set up appropriately for data is what we've always focused on. Yep, out here. I did also go to QB Connect. I also had to take a break after coming back from that. That was a very intense couple of days. And then I've got 3 kids in fall sports. So yay. That's my life.
Yes. Now, it's funny because when I worked at Intuit, one of my work wives was sending me what worked in the QSP channel and was always sending me people to connect their ProAdvisor membership to make sure that they got attributed properly. And it was always somebody from Fourlane. I'm like, who is this Fourlane? And why are they buying so many ProAdvisor memberships?
Yeah, we've got a lot of people. We've got a lot of people over here. We started out remote. We didn't start remote because in Austin, and then one of my first employees, still employee, had twins and needed to move to Ohio. And so I was like, I guess we're opening in Ohio because I couldn't let her go. So yeah, we've got a good group of people over here.
Yeah. So your reputation preceded you before I even met you because I knew of all this Fourlane conglomerate, I guess.
We tried to copy T-sheets back then too, right? We'd had Fourlane Fridays, and we would drop off all the food and T-shirts in the Tucson office, and yeah, all that fun.
Excellent. A little bit about the QB Power Hour. If you're just joining us for the first time, it's every other Tuesday at noon Eastern. We do have CPE credit available through Earmark. If you didn't catch the introduction from the AI Blake talking about that. And you can always go to qbpowerhour.com/resources for PDFs of the slides, past recordings, podcasts, and other resources as well. So today, we're going to talk about, amongst the discussion about the state of desktop or Intuit news, we're going to be talking briefly about the QBO payroll tax payments and filings that you cannot opt out after 11/15, which is in 4 days. Happy Veterans Day for those that serve, by the way. We appreciate all of your service. So we'll be talking about the state of desktop and doing a lot of speculation, because Marjorie and I were talking yesterday as we were preparing. We're just here reading the tea leaves and trying to predict the future based on past actions. And so that's really what we have to go off of. None of us here on this panel has any insider information or details, and we would probably be strung up if we did. Because they're not allowed to say those things because it's a publicly traded company anyway. But we'll talk about the state of desktop, and Marjorie will be discussing a solution that Fourlane has developed called Fourlane CX, and we'll talk about some case studies there. So let's launch our first poll question. Sharon, if you have that available, since I made you a co-host, can you launch that first poll?
I do. Yes, I am right now. Where are you in your QuickBooks? Okay, there you go.
There we go. The QuickBooks desktop journey, right? I mean, depending on how long you've been acquainted with QuickBooks, your desktop journey or your QuickBooks journey probably started with desktop before QBO even came around. But if you're relatively new to the QuickBooks space, probably you're in this space at this point of, do I move all my clients to QBO? Am I using both? Am I staying with desktop? Marjorie, you want to talk about your desktop journey?
Oh gosh. I mean, I would, so when we first started, we did a lot around inventory, right? That's my sweet spot. I came from manufacturing and private industry, and a lot of people don't like touching inventory, I learned over all these years. And so sales orders are a big part of things that we help customers navigate how to use in their sales workflow or project management workflow if they're using desktop. And I've been told since 2012 that they would be in QBO, and they are, right? In some right now, sales orders are there without having to connect to QB Commerce, but it doesn't do the same thing, right? That's, average costing of inventory. I've heard that's coming to QBO too, and I will definitely be able to move a lot more clients when that happens. Build assemblies. I know I could do all the apps, right? But we try not to. Yeah. We try not to do an app for everything. So yeah, we're still in desktop a lot.
Well, and I think that's one of the key benefits of QuickBooks Enterprise is that your payroll, your inventory management, a lot of those core functions are in one place. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk a little bit about Intuit Enterprise Suite and how it's a little bit different, but that's what they're mirroring in the online space, is that the more that you are doing inside of your core system, the less friction that you have with other things. But to your point, heavy in inventory, the marketing be damned, right? I mean, it's not a seamless journey from desktop to online. We all got back from Intuit Connect, and I always seem to have a client hijack my Intuit Connect experience. And this year was no exception, because we had migrated someone from desktop and they found a deal breaker, right? And it was something as simple as the terms that are in QuickBooks Desktop, or the 2% 10 net terms, doesn't exist in QuickBooks Online, and that was a deal breaker. So to say it's seamless, there's lots of seams, and we live in the seams, Marjorie.
Right. Yeah, that's what we do, is we teach them how to use the product that they purchase versus one of the things that we focus on a lot of people do use QuickBooks in general as a checkbook, a glorified checkbook. And that's where we try to really push those boundaries and get them to use more, because that makes them stickier, right? They stay longer if it's harder for them to leave. And we want people to be using as much of the product as possible. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's get the ball rolling here. All right. First, we always lead off with Intuit in the news, and we could spend all day talking about what they talked about at the Intuit Connect. You all right there, Sharon?
Yeah. Is this where I jump in, or are we saving my comments for next for a different show? Stay tuned, guys. Dan and I are going to do a follow-up of Intuit Connect, and we all know I've got opinions.
Yeah. And but today we're just going to limit that to the news because it's very timely about the QBO payroll tax filings and payments. So what's happening is, and I meant to put a link in here, but I'll do that after on the landing page there. But what's happening is all new QBO payroll subscribers after November 15th of this year, so 4 days, you can no longer opt out of automatic taxes and form filings, right? So this is when you're coming from desktop, where you do have the enhanced payroll, where it's you're very used to being able to submit your tax payments and form filings manually. People appreciated being able to opt out of that and have that same experience in the QuickBooks Online space. After November 15th, you're not going to be able to opt out of that. Intuit is going to be full service with regarding to doing that.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, so my guess is they are, one of the things that changed in the past was they impound the tax payments as soon as you run payroll now, and then they pay the tax payments on time based off of your schedule. So with most other payroll services, they tend to make some money on the float. So I think that is why. One, they don't want you to be late, and they take the burden of that if they are late. But in the time from impounding the tax payments to
I'm jumping in here. I agree. We all know that. We all know about my unhealthy relationship with Intuit. But also, as somebody who is, and raise your hand if this has been you guys, as somebody who's had a client who's, I've been running payroll all year for my clients on desktop or for my team. And then you go to your desktop and they're like, they've just hit the button. They haven't paid anything. They haven't processed anything. We actually ended up, one of our clients we had to turn in because he owed over $300,000 in payroll taxes because he was running it on desktop. And I was like, we need to pay this. And when we went to go file his W-2s and his 1099s, he was pissed. He was pissed because he hasn't been paying taxes. And he thought all of his employees are dumb enough they wouldn't realize that no big deal. Anyhow, so I'm wondering if payroll in a software shouldn't be for dummies anymore, right? Like to me, if I have a software for payroll, I want to ensure that you're using it completely. Otherwise, do it by hand if you're going to cheat the government and your employees. That I'm going to back out now, but that's just my 2 cents.
I like that though, because when I was in that private industry manufacturing firm, that was the most eventful day that we had was I believe it was the FBI who came to our, because a subscription, I won't say who, subscription failed to file our taxes, and they came knocking on the door, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what? This is really big for a 13 employee company. Like, why are you all here?
They took everything. We had CPAs. They took everything from this. I'm talking everything he owned, his home, his businesses. They came in for everything and then some. I can't tell you the amount of bankruptcy stuff we got. It was insane. So don't mess. The government doesn't like competition when it comes to cheating people out of their money. That's all I'm going to say.
I do telling Intuit too frequently, because I talk to the developers a lot, and I do tell them, you guys have a responsibility to teach businesses how to be a business. Like, they try to replace us, right? They try to replace consultants. And so if the software is good enough to try to replace consultants, you really have to show them how to be a legitimate business. So maybe it's a good thing in that way, but yeah, I don't know. I don't do payroll. Payroll is not my thing.
One of the things that I'm not going to turn my camera on because you guys all can just imagine my facial expressions. I actually think this was a really good move by Intuit. I know a lot of people are not happy about it, but again, I do agree. I think there's some level of responsibility from the software to make sure that you're using it. And I think Intuit just got to the point. And anyhow, I think this was a good move by Intuit. I'm actually going to give them 4 stars on this. So if anybody says I don't say anything nice, I think this was a good move.
That's right. It's recorded, so we can always provide that as
proof. Give that to Ted. Let Ted know.
Exactly. But yes, when we talk about things that are a compliance thing, like sales tags, there's no benefit to a business owner for filing and remitting their sales tax. There's really no benefit to a business owner to file and remit their payroll forms and their tax payments. It's really just a service offering, something that accountants and bookkeepers could do. But also, if it's got a time and a schedule in it, it's just double checking the machines as opposed to actually doing those acts is a better option, especially if there is timeliness. And coming from the support realm, it was very common when people were left to their own devices to not really understand the lead time that needed to be taken into consideration when paying their taxes through QuickBooks Online. Oh, it's the end of the month. I'm ready to pay. Oh, it's late because it's actually going to take some time for it to actually go. And trying to explain that to folks was an uphill battle. If they're going to take it over, then by all means, it certainly should be done on time.
We used to do the only thing that we used to use enhanced payroll, even if they used an outside service like a Paychex or an ADP to help with job costing. And so that takes away that ability maybe to do that, right? You have to process. You can't do like fake payrolls and just to get the output, right? So I guess it would take that away. You'd have to go back to desktop to do that.
Right.
Which I don't think you can do anymore. You can't even, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of desktop, let's talk about the state of desktop.
Yeah.
It's now the 51st state of the United States. QuickBooks Desktop. So let's talk about where we are when it comes to QuickBooks, the desktop, Marjorie.
Sure.
We look at the way things that are occurring and the Chicken Littles of the world. Oh my gosh, it's going away. So talk about the state of desktop as you see it as a firm or a company that is heavy in the desktop space.
Yeah. So I know most people think I'm probably crazy for hanging in there in the desktop world as much as we do. We move people still daily off of QBO back to desktop because it's not the right product for them, right? Now we'll move them from desktop to QBO if it's the right product for them too. But the things that you see every May, we see QuickBooks Desktop discontinuation, and it's really just the sunsetting. And then we'll see there's never going to be a new release of QuickBooks, which is true as of right now is true. But that's something that I don't know if you guys as professionals have asked for, but I've asked Intuit for years. Number one support call over all these years is installation, and it's a pain to reinstall every year. So we said, stop doing that. Why do we have to do this? Just now you guys do periodic updates, send the updates down and let us handle it that way. I don't think that the updates are being sent down appropriately, by the way, because somebody should have to approve it before it comes in. just send them down. So I'm all for not having to do fresh install. And to me, that does not mean that the desktop product is going away. I do think that Intuit would love if they could replace it. I think that that would be their most, I think that they've told us since 2012 that this is going to be a replacement. It's just not there yet. And they still have 1 million people using this product. I don't know. We did see when point of sale discontinued, we did see just all of us got hit with the, what are you doing? This makes no sense. So it could come to that. What are you doing? This makes no sense. But that would be a lot of people, 1 million users to just say goodbye to. I don't know how many there were in point of sale when they cut it.
Yeah. And of course, point of sale had that, we're going to try a new option or an online option of point of sale with Revel. Sorry if that puts some PTSD for you, but they tried an online point of sale product as a replacement, didn't work. And then they came back and developed a few more versions of point of sale as they were trying to figure out the best path forward with regards to that. And you brought up an interesting point yesterday. When it comes to the point of they stop selling QuickBooks Enterprise, that's when we should start really paying attention.
Right. Yeah, I don't think the sales of it. So there's a couple things that I gauge on. Number one is how much pressure as a VAR do I get from Intuit about selling the product? And for a short period of time, they did not care whether I sold Enterprise or not. In the most recent, before one of my most favorite people who worked at Intuit exited, he even started coming to us saying, why are you not selling more Enterprise? And so I've definitely heard that in our channels for the last couple of years. And then the second part is always because I try to stay engaged with the developers and what they're working on in the roadmap. And if they go dark on me, I get a little nervous. But I was just on the phone with them last Thursday, and that always gives me hope, right? That they are doing it. But here's the thing, right? We were so used to for years QuickBooks being like, oh, here's a new feature, here's a new feature, here's a new feature. What else could we want from it? That's the part too, is it's like, what else can't? Now some fixes, yes. But feature-wise, I don't know what else we would want as a community. We just want them to, like, there's little tweaks in here. And there are some cool, what they're working on, I've seen that it's neat. There are some neat things coming that we have asked for a long time.
So those product updates are being pushed into the product automatically. So you end up having, as long as your clients are on the latest 2024 version of QuickBooks, those product updates are downloaded and updated naturally. And then, so as long as you're on the latest release, you have those features. And I think we have a couple things here that we want to point out. And that, as you had mentioned yesterday, as long as they are continuing to develop these things, as little as they might be, right? They're still getting attention.
Right.
So
that's a good sign for us, for our customers, because it would be, although we represent other products too, right? Acumatica, and we can work in NetSuite and things like that, but the clients just don't want to go there. They're not ready for it. They're not sophisticated enough for that. And it would be a really hard thing for them. Or even if they go into some of the more sophisticated apps, it would be a hard thing for them to make that big of a change. So yeah, the fact that some of these are very silly like silly things. But again, the point is they are making changes. Changes are being rolled out. And that is, based on history, a sign that this product is okay for right now. My opinion.
And yeah, and as long as these things are continuing to occur, then for the foreseeable future, it will maintain. So the way that we mentioned, if they're actively selling it, even though we have the option to pay monthly, Enterprise in and of itself and all QuickBooks Desktop subscriptions are annual subscriptions. by Intuit's perspective, right? So if you purchase today, even if you're paying monthly, your contract, so to speak, or your license is good for a year, right? That's why I think your point of like when they stop selling it, that's when we really start to look on the wall, because we're probably going to have a year from the time that they stop selling it to some kind of announcement that, okay, this ship has sailed.
And they did stop selling Pro and Premier, but they're still pushing updates into those products because it's subscription, and like one of the ones that's coming out here in February, it's going to be pushed to Pro Premier too. So still there, still trucking.
And as Steve is saying in the Q&A, why did they get rid of Pro Plus and Premier? That's I think in the grand scheme of things, and again, this is just speculation based off of what we've seen and heard, is that Intuit has probably made the claim that Pro and QuickBooks Online has basic feature parity, between Plus and Advanced, depending on your perspective, right? Obviously, moving from desktop to online, you may have some workflow gaps that occur. But if you're just starting out and you're given the choice between QuickBooks Desktop Pro and QuickBooks Online Plus or Advanced, they're going to essentially do the same things, right? That's probably the reason why they're no longer actively selling that subscription, because given that choice of a new user, hey, why not go with the cloud computing?
I think one of the biggest downfalls around licensing on desktop, which obviously a lot of people have taken advantage of for years, is that if you buy a single desktop license, you can have as many company files as you want. And Intuit has to figure out how to combat that. They've got to figure out how to police that effectively, because that's not a thing in the modern SaaS world, right? You pay for your instances, you pay for your entities, so they're trying to figure out how to bridge that gap a little bit, which is understandable. Yeah.
And you just can't do the AI things that they really want to do in the desktop product. So that's one of the big reasons Sasan talked about, and maybe this is where Sharon comes out of the woodwork and starts talking about it. But when Sasan at the conference is talking about Intuit Intelligence and AI, they really can't do those things in the desktop product.
We all know I didn't go to his main stage, mainly because I think the closing party was that night. And I was really afraid if I went to the main stage, I would heckle and boo and be escorted out. And honestly, I only bought my ticket to go to the after party. I held back. You're all welcome. Actually, I think people would have enjoyed it. I'd have sat in the front row, thrown oranges. I'd have Monty Python him. Just kidding. I hope they're not watching this.
Oh, I'm sure there's someone that's going to tattle on you. But we went through a bunch of stuff. I just sold my accounting firm. What are you going to do? Come at me. Exactly. So we did talk, or we flashed by, and you can download the slides to take a look at the things that they actually have done in QuickBooks Desktop.
Yeah.
But of course, when this is now the nature of the beast, where Intuit recycles terms that that cause confusion, because Intuit Enterprise Suite is not QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise. Talk a little bit about what you've seen in the Intuit Enterprise side of things, where it actually is a good fit for some folks.
And let's be very clear that this is called QuickBooks Enterprise Suite. That was what we used to call it also, right?
Yeah.
Which again, the new people who work in marketing at Intuit probably don't remember that 2009 days when we were selling the Corrigo and other things with it too. But yeah, Intuit Enterprise Suite, this is going to be, you guys are going to start to hear that. I was at Connect and talking with some of the management team there, and I would say enterprise, and they would say enterprise desktop, desktop enterprise. They're trying to already make that our words, right? So that we're not confusing. We internally here, we say IES. It is a very exciting time, right? I do think that in the world of software, everyone is talking about mid-market, which is, again, Fourlane's kind of, it's not true mid-market, let's be clear. It's companies who think that they're bigger businesses. They're not the over 500 million. They're, again, the 5 to 100 million in revenue. This spot has been really undervalued, and the marketplace is really talking about it. And that's not just here with Intuit, right? I've heard it from other softwares too. Lightspeed has this whole diversion. If you're over $5 million in revenue, you get special attention. And so I'm excited to have it here. To me, when I first saw Intuit Enterprise Suite, I just thought Intuit's going after Intact. And I was very excited about that, because we do a lot of conversions out of Intact for people who just, it's not the right fit for. And this might be an option for them that feels closer to that product. And it gives us some of the things that we have been asking, the dimensions. So we want to talk about what do you think, Dan? What do you think about the name, first of all? What would be a better name?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, because they've run out of advanced.
Right.
I mean, can't say they've already got QuickBooks Online Advanced, so they can't say Intuit Advanced Suite. So it is a confusing thing when they use a term that's already in use by something else in their own ecosystem too. So I don't know what it would have, and I understand that being on the other side of the Intuit badge, the yearning to have Intuit's name associated with all of its products. And we're seeing that doubling down, that not only is it just Intuit TurboTax or Intuit QuickBooks or Intuit MailChimp, now it's QuickBooks on the Intuit platform is now the verbiage. So they're wanting to make Intuit be the term or the word that is associated with the solution, whatever it happens to be. Got to start with that Intuit, and then whatever enterprise suite is after it.
Do you think that they're dropping? Because the one thing we don't see here is QuickBooks, and QuickBooks is associated with small business. So dropping QuickBooks maybe helps, because in our world, we try to get customers to do case studies and things like that. And a lot of times customers don't want to admit, like our larger customers don't always want to admit that they use QuickBooks, because people see it as a small business software. And so maybe this is also their way of disassociating with QuickBooks entirely.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because when QuickBooks first came out, they were under the foot of Quicken. The box would say from the makers of Quicken, and the year that they removed that from the box, from the shelf, we were all in the QuickBooks space. Yay, we're no longer associated with the Quicken or the Quicken books.
Quicken.
Or
put it in the Quicken.
This could be another evolution in that, just that verbiage and that vernacular, right? But the big thing about Intuit Enterprise Suite, as opposed to QuickBooks Desktop, is that it's still based off of the Intuit QuickBooks in the Intuit platform, right? With QuickBooks Online as its base for its general ledger, right? So the features and functionality and the core functionality that you have, even in Intuit Enterprise Suite, is going to be based off of the QuickBooks base, right? So even the QuickBooks Online Advanced is the highest you can go as far as that is concerned, and then you get those additional functions of the dimensions and the contractor reports and things like that you get in Intuit Enterprise Suite, but it's still based off of QuickBooks Online, right? So as far as their core functionality, so those folks that you have in QuickBooks Desktop that are heavily in inventory based, they are going to have a tough time
right
moving into it Enterprise Suite, even though there's a little menu that says just move to Intuit Enterprise Suite inside. And that's why we want to reemphasize that not all enterprises are the same. Just because it has the word enterprise in it does not mean it's exactly the same. Or the fact that it says plus in your subscription inside of QuickBooks Online does not mean that QuickBooks Online Plus or Desktop Plus over to QuickBooks Online Plus. Those are not the same.
I didn't put that one together because I don't do as much. And the QuickBooks Online levels have changed so much. We don't deal with all the different levels very much. And yeah, I didn't realize that they had 2 pluses. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, originally it was all things that started with the word P or the letter P, like Pro, Premier, Plus, ProAdvisor.
We need to send them a thesaurus.
Now it's moved to advanced, and now enterprise is just getting mixed in there. So we're asking the second polling question: how are you approaching the move to the cloud? Are you moving to QuickBooks Online? Are you utilizing it with a VPN or remote desktop? Threw a lot of acronyms in there on your poll question answers there, Marjorie. But if you're using a virtual private network or remote data where you can access your QuickBooks desktop, or maybe you're adding cloud hosting, or maybe QBox, as the case may be. There's other ways to manage that, or maybe it's not your thing.
Yeah.
So are you finding, Marjorie, that I guess we're gonna move into your solution that's how you're doing that.
Yeah.
And that's what, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that I feel, okay, a couple years ago, everybody was very excited about hosting. And then there was a little going on with some of the hosting partners that are connected into it this year. A little bit of drama happened there. And then I have seen IT companies get better about providing hosting, whereas before they might not have been the best. So there's more competition with hosting providers, I feel like, although not all of them get it 100%. And then, of course, not all of them have actual 24/7 coverage, which the hosting partners will have too. But I feel like I hear more self-hosted now than I have in years past. And sometimes I haven't heard this in a long time, but I did on a call the other day. I heard them say, "I just don't trust the cloud," and I was like, "Oh, wow." Do you have a phone? I don't know.
A whole other webinar. Yeah. Like, I can understand us being upset with Intuit and QuickBooks and accountants. So I jumped right in here. I'm sorry. I say this all the time, but accountants don't like change. When we start our practices, we start it away, we learn, we dig our heels in deep, and we stay that course, and we'll do other things if it helps us stay that course, but we don't like change. And to me, there are a lot of people that have had their practices for a long time and are probably getting ready to exit their practices, and they don't want to learn a whole other software, a whole other system. They're just going to dig their heels in until they retire out. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I honestly think that's what QuickBooks is also doing right now. They're allowing those people to retire out of their firms with their desktop. But I think in the next few years, everything's going to be online. We will be at the internet the robot overlords are going to own us. And that's something I feel like we don't have control over unless we want to move to the backwoods and not get Amazon delivered. And that's just not where I want to be.
Well, that's a
And
great
she's gone.
transition to what we solved for our clients that are still wanting to stay in desktop. So,
Yeah.
perfect.
And I love this story, Marjorie, because it speaks to how you as a company have created your own solution to the problems that you foresee. The friction of moving people off of a foundational system into the cloud, because there are so many minute nuances that they're going to have to relearn all of these things. They're going to have to, it's quite an undertaking, especially for a large company, to move things over into the cloud. This is genius. Sorry. Just
Yay. Sold. No, I'm just kidding. So really what this came from is our company, because we've always treated QuickBooks period as an ERP product. We've always tried to elevate it to be equal to NetSuite or to Intact or to Acumatica. And we've tried to make people feel comfortable that they can stay and hang out in this space and not have to, because we help people all day long. NetSuite's my most favorite. They're like, hey, my NetSuite renewal's up on Thursday. Can you help me get out of it? And it's always people who've come from QuickBooks. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and realize that they don't actually need to be there. There is no magic button when you go into a different product. It doesn't magically do all the things you need it to do. You still have to customize it and build it. But they just wanted to not have to watch the little spinning button when they're opening their QuickBooks every single morning. And so we also have built custom applications for years on top of QuickBooks, which the premise of this, like the basis of this product, was around the custom applications that we've built for clients. So yeah, so that's what we did, is we said, hey, clients want speed, they want accessibility, they don't want something that looks and feels different than QuickBooks, they don't want a massive, they just want what QuickBooks does in an accessible place. And so that's what we did with this product. We have people who use QuickBooks Desktop still, and with this, because it's this product, our product sits on top of QuickBooks Desktop, and I can flip over. Do you want me to flip over to my show?
Yeah, let's go ahead and just show it, because we chatted so much about up until this point. We want to make sure you give you enough time to take a look at it. And so I'm going to stop sharing if you want to, or did you want me to go into another slide?
No, I can. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yep. Yeah. So that's just what we did. And the purpose for me today is just to let people know that there are options out there. That's what I really want to get across, is that there are options out there. I know that everyone is being told that desktop is going away. As we're trying to show today, I don't think yet that it is. And this is a bridge for people who think that they have to go to NetSuite and they maybe don't. That's really just to have the accessibility and to not have to deal with the speed or those kinds of issues. So this is our product, right? It's a web-based product. You log in, you have your own little URL when they log into their software. It looks, feels like QuickBooks. I come into my customer center, right? And I've got drag and drop, just like we're used to seeing. So looks and feels very similar. I can add a new customer, a new job, and it's a seamless sync into the QuickBooks. So it's a 10-second sync down into the QuickBooks database and a couple minutes sync up into the CX database if we make any changes there. What we've used it for our clients is two things. One is a point of entry, right? So they're in the field, they're again, not wanting to have to log into the VPN and log into QuickBooks. I was on a call the other day trying to just get QuickBooks to open on my local computer, and it was driving me up the wall. And it's just something like a quick point of entry, as well as I can open up a sales order, even if it was created in the QuickBooks Desktop product, open up a sales order, print it out of here. Like, it's a very similar look and feel. There's a couple of things that you can do on top of it that you can't do in QuickBooks Desktop. A couple of things like One is that we have an archive function. So our enterprise clients, if they're true QuickBooks enterprise clients, their file size is probably pretty large. So we have a way in here where you can go in and we call it archive. You can get rid of your estimates as an example. So the estimates will remain in CX, in the cloud experience product, but they'll be removed from the QuickBooks desktop database, because after the estimates are closed, you don't need them, right? So some of the old ones are old sales orders. So you still have access to them. You can still see them here, but then they remove them from that desktop database. So that database shrinks and it will hopefully move faster. Some of the other things that our clients like about it is just that, again, speed-wise, if you've done any kind of lot numbers with QuickBooks Desktop, that can be very overwhelming, right? Because it says your lot number is being used by someone else, and then you can't do anything right now. Or even when you see somebody else is editing this transaction, you can't do anything right now. All of that gets removed. And so clients, it's not usually the accounting team who complains the most, right? It's like the sales team and the warehouse people who like complain the most about QuickBooks Desktop and are the loudest a lot of times. And accounting just wants to stay in their QuickBooks files. That's what we're trying to allow to have happen.
And
so you don't.
And those salespeople are the ones that leave QuickBooks open when they go home, right?
Right. Yes, 100%. Yes.
So when you're trying to switch to single user mode or change a preference or resort your lists like you would in the accounting space, then now you're trying to hunt who left their computer running inside of QuickBooks. Right. This takes those people, those offenders of of the multi-user access out of the equation, because they can stay in it all day and it's not going to cause an issue with single user mode.
Yep. Yes, exactly. So the way that we, with our customers, we tell them to split is we'll say the core accounting users, people doing bank recs, payroll, changing up company preferences or merging customers together, whatever it is, you can do some of that stuff in here still, but mostly the accounting people feel most comfortable being inside QuickBooks, and then let the rest of the people who would maybe be in an app or a connected system, let them sit there. They do sales order lookup, estimate lookup, related transactions. So if we have any kind of purchase type of transactions related, you could see that stuff in here, attachments, all that stuff. Yeah, anybody who's not core accounting, we try to move out here. And that also helps with keeping the licensing, and the cost of licensing can get quite expensive, especially when you add in hosting or the cost of IT to VPN in. And so it helps kind of balance that a little bit too, because I know that a lot of QuickBooks users are trained, right, to focus on price heavily instead of just value. Yeah.
A couple questions that popped into the Q&A and in the chat that I want to throw at you.
Sure.
Because I think the main thing is that people are trying to now grasp, is this a separate thing or is it sit on top? Basically, this is a division of duties between QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise and the sales team, for lack of a better word. But is there anything that you can't do that has to be done in QuickBooks Desktop with regards to the sales process or the sales workflows that you built out?
Yes. I should say this. We learn every day, pretty much. QuickBooks is something that people have figured out how to use. So if they have some custom workflows that they have built in, what did we see the other day? Somebody had, I want to say it was tax types, right? Like taxable. They had 75 tax types. I just couldn't understand why, but they use it for some reason, even though you can't even report on it anyway. And so we had to pivot and make some changes for this customer to be helped, because that is the thing, is we are a custom application shop, right? So if there's customization that is needed, we can do that. We have built for clients things on top of this platform with manufacturing build outs and work order management and all these different things that they can use this tool to flow. Even their own homegrown systems use this tool to flow data through into QuickBooks. But yeah, so the things that we currently don't touch, bank reconciliations, we don't do bank feeds. Obviously, that's something that is not even managed by QuickBooks. And payroll, those are the biggest ones. We do have build assemblies. We do have barcode scanning. Lot serial number tracking, multi-site. But it's not an exact replica of QuickBooks. The idea is not to make it exact. The idea is to give you access to your data in a way that looks and feels familiar. So not every single workflow.
So smart. I'm jumping in here because I've just been looking at this. I'm like, this is a great UI because it's doing what you need it to do, but it's very familiar, which again, as accountants, I don't care. You can all fight me. We don't like change. So like whenever QuickBooks changes one thing, we all freak out. Where'd you put it? Anyhow, good job on this. This is great. I've been silently watching.
Yeah, same purchasing, right? Creating purchase orders. It's the same thing. So we do have people who just come in and put their purchase orders in here because they've got people all over the country who need to be able to enter purchase orders and they don't want to have to make them log into QuickBooks to do that. So yeah, receiving items, yeah, all that stuff.
Oh, awesome. So is there...
Oh, I should say one other, that if it's not available in the API of QuickBooks, obviously there's not much we can do there. So certain things like price rules, we have price levels. Price rules are not available through the API in QuickBooks. So there's nothing we can do about that. But other things like attachments, you can't send attachments down into QuickBooks. That's not part of the API either in desktop. But what we can send down is a link to the attachment in the CX product. And when you have an attachment in QuickBooks Desktop, it's just a link anyway, right? So it's just a link to a different place. So yeah, I mean, there's little bits and pieces, but we are limited to whatever the API allows us to do.
Yeah, I think James was asking about, can you do barcode scanning and those types of things, that inventory management functions that are in the advanced inventory of Platinum. It would be it'd be disappointing, I guess, if you had all of these things cool in a thing and then, you got to do that part of this sales process over in QuickBooks. But your main goal is to lift that day-to-day out of QuickBooks Desktop. And as long as there is a pathway to get it into the QuickBooks database, you'll be glad to do that.
Right.
That keeps the sale. It's like the McDLT. I'm dating myself. It keeps the hot side hot and the cold side cold.
Yeah. It just helps for accountants. That is one of the biggest complaints that we hear. I have to go in single use mode and I have to get all these people out. And right, you hear that, or I hear the crashing, or I hear the black screens that are black and white. And people get afraid when stuff like that happens and they start to not trust their data. And that's when they start looking at things like NetSuite. And so we're trying to give an alternative and say, hey, here's a safe place. You can enter the data. You can see the data. It's significantly faster. And you don't have to log into the QuickBooks database. So it will speed up too if you don't have 5, 10, 15 people in that database. So it's just a solution. We're trying to help. What I tell Intuit, right? A lot of people, when I started presenting this product, said, isn't Intuit going to get upset at you about this? And I said, no, because I'm trying to keep their customers here until Intuit Enterprise Suite is ready, until I'm trying to keep them here and not have them go spend $250,000 to try out NetSuite and figure out that it's not magical.
But one part of that strategy is, as Intuit is increasing the leverage that and the uncomfortableness of staying in QuickBooks Desktop, they are using pricing as part of that leverage. And this allows you to lengthen the lifespan of QuickBooks Desktop by making your QuickBooks licenses leaner and then adding this as an expansion. So let me go ahead and reshare my screen because we want to talk a little, because of course that's going to be the question for accountants. Oh, did I share the right thing? I did. Okay. With three monitors, it's hard to remember
I see
which
a
one.
spreadsheet, Dan, and being a spreadsheet lover, you got my attention.
I love building models and my price
Oh,
models and
me
my
too.
spreadsheets. It's one of my
They try to
favorite
get
things
me
to
out
do.
of it, and I'm like, I'm sure it's amazing, but I love my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Am I on the right slide?
Yeah. Basically, we have a little calculator tool that we show our clients, and you get to choose what are you in now. You're a Gold 10 user. You shift some of the users over to Fourlane CX, which obviously there's a cost to that product as well, but it's lower than the cost of the hosting licensing. We do support contracts with our clients, and then so clients can see that there's a cost differential, whether it's good or bad. I always like to tell clients, even if I am charging, and even if it ends up being that switching to CX is $10,000 a year, the energy savings of not having to have the people, let's be real, salespeople tend to be a little bit different. They'll get way super frustrated and they'll just start to write it down on a piece of paper, and then stuff is lost. And,
Exactly.
that we just need it to be easy for them to function. And then that way accounting, because that's who's been pressuring, right? Sales has been pressuring accounting to move out of QuickBooks. That's who we hear the most. And so we're trying to help them have a way to, and it's just because of speed. That's usually what it is. It's just slow.
Yeah. This is busy work for the sales agents to enter that in appropriately. And by them doing their job properly, the accounting and the finance team is actually much happier because it's
money.
The bookkeeping is happening because of them doing their job.
Yeah. Yes. And being able to attach pictures of things and all that stuff. I feel like in the field, I just feel like it's a lot easier. So.
Yeah. So ultimately they can reduce their software license of QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise and adding this on. Everybody's happier because the sales team is happier. They can do their job. They can be in a web-based. Do you have a mobile application or tablet, or is it more just best used on a laptop or something like that?
Yeah, so it resizes down to mobile screen is pretty hard, but it will resize. It's just like any other. You don't have to have a mobile. So the Blazor that's built in, you don't have to have a mobile application. It resizes based on the screen that it's in, similar to like an Acumatica or same thing. Of course, going down to a cell phone's harder, but iPad or whatever, we have that. People using that all the time. It's just a tiny bit bigger.
And while we're wrapping up here with our conversation, I did launch the last poll. Was this useful? And if you want to hear or want to learn more about the Fourlane CX product, you can answer that. If you're watching on the live stream, just go ahead and answer those in the comments. Anything else you want to add here? I know we walked a little bit over here than the slides that you prepared.
Great. I just like people to know that there's options, right? That's just, and that there are people out here who you're not alone if you still are a desktop supporter. That's it. Exactly. You're not alone out there.
There. Oh, geez, I wanted to go all the way. No, Oh, apparently I didn't put the last poll. There it is. No.
Yeah, you did that one in there.
Yeah, there I did. Okay. That's
Dan, what is happening? What is happening?
I don't know. It's one of those days. I drove through. Here's what happened. I went from Michigan to Florida. What
happened was,
and one day which was Saturday, we drove from Eastern to Central, and the time changed at the same time. So I don't know what time it is.
Man.
Even though we only moved the clock back once, we had to move it 2 hours back.
It's 10 a.m. in Vegas. And I feel like that's the only thing that matters in life because I'm American and self-centered.
Good for you, Sharon. All right, Marjorie, we appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah.
It was a very lively discussion. Thanks again, Sharon, for your insights and
My
popping
valuable info.
Next week or next time on the QB Power Hour is the week before Thanksgiving. So we thought we would share some love with Intuit and talk about the things that we are thankful for with QuickBooks in the past year.
This episode will be 10 and a half minutes, and that includes intros and outros. I'm just kidding. I'm going to, can I come up with a small list too? Can I give you a list? Won't it be fun to see? I've got it, like we said, unhealthy relationship. You still like something. So
Exactly. They do something to keep you around.
My platform's free as an accountant. So I shouldn't have even said that out loud. I'm gonna log in. They're like, you owe us 3 years.
All right, Marjorie, any
Thank
closing
you guys
thoughts
so much.
on your side?
No, I was just saying, yeah, that I had a great time and fascinating. I want to hear more. Can we do a whole episode on Sasan? I want to do a whole episode on Sasan.
Yes. Oh, I'll talk to my lawyer. Let me talk to my lawyer and find out how we can without getting sued in any way. I'm really good at that.
The direction. But no, I had a great time.
The opinions of this podcast are those of the
Yeah, we'll need a
individuals.
disclaimer for sure.
No.
I put that in my book on chapter 7, just saying.
Thanks again for joining us, and all of those of you who do serve or have served as veterans, we appreciate your service, and we'll see you next time on the QB Power Hour. We hope you enjoyed listening to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in our Facebook group. You can find those resources and much more at qbpowerhour.com.